said she was gonna stay. She's like, you're bullying my daughter. I'm not leaving until the week's done. We're like, you're not staying here. But since she was stomping around like a tyrant and slamming doors and kept trying to go into people's rooms, and that's when we called the police. And then you came home, and then yeah, she proceeded to freak out even more.
Me coming home actually aggravated the situation a lot more. And the part that made it all a little bit more aggravating, I think, was the dogs. Do you remember the dogs being there?
No.
I think our horror roommate's dogs. Because there was a whole situation where the dogs were there and being slightly aggressive, but I was also allergic to dogs, so I couldn't stay at the house because the dogs were there also.
I think what like pushed it over is that like Jess had gave me like her mom had gave me like early on some furniture stuff as a thank you for going into the unfinished basement. And then she's like, I'm gonna go in the basement and take back all my stuff, and she started to march down there, and we're like, you have no right to go down there. And like she was trying to like pry open the door. I was like, no.
Yeah, I forgot she was trying to charge into your private space. So she was trying to go into your private space, and that's what kind of sent everyone else over the edge. And I just, like, it was a lot of screaming, a grown woman screaming at all of us who were younger people in defense of her daughter. And she thought we were all ganging up on her. And she had a lot of gross misinformation about what was actually going on in the house. I feel like also tensions were so high at this point in general from us deciding not to live with her that she felt like she could have her mom come and fight her battle, and it wasn't working. Your sister was not having any of it.
No, me and my sister both was like, nah.
So then at that point we decide, okay, she's still here. Oh, I should have known. Sorry, I'm gonna let you focus. Oh my gosh, you're better? We've got 2 left. No. Nice try. You're better. That was so hot. Oh my gosh. Y'all are so good at this video game. So at that point, was that the point where she said that she was going to stay as long as she needed to? Or was that later?
Yeah, she said she was gonna stay. She's like, you're bullying my daughter. I'm not leaving until the week's done. We're like, you're not staying here. But since she was stomping around like a tyrant and slamming doors and kept trying to go into people's rooms, and that's when we called the police.
Because she was overstaying her welcome. She was being absolutely so negative.
Well, she was trying to go in people's rooms.
Yeah, like that's people's private space, you know? I'm 8 HP.
1 enemy remaining.
No!
You're better, thank God. We're calling the cops. Because not only is she going into people's spaces, but she is overstaying her welcome. She said she's going to stay there for as long as she needs to because her daughter is there as her guest. And we're not feeling safe. So we all exit and we go to our neighbors, which is our friends, obviously. We go and we're at their house. And actually, I believe I stay there for 1 night and then I go to another friend's house for another couple nights. But the cops come, they take her statement, and she's yelling at the cop. She's yelling at this cop, trying to explain her point of view. You can see the cop is not having any of it, but that he's trying. You know, he's trying for us. So the cop, she's yelling at this cop, and you can tell he's trying to maintain his composure, but that he can't. So he's talking to her in the living room, and all of us are outside. So then we are like listening from the doorway, and then he eventually is like done with talking to her. He comes outside because he's just physically done. He didn't want to hear her anymore. He comes outside and he looks at us, all of us, and it's like, that woman is batshit crazy. And that's when everything we had been feeling. That verbatim, a cop said that to our face. And verbatim, that's when we all knew everything that we had been feeling had been validated.
Yeah.
You know, that's when I knew, yes, we were in the right because a cop was saying it. But also, we just knew that the cop was on our side. And we knew that there was going to be a lot of stuff to do. Oh. So at that point, you're living at the house. I'm living, like, we're all living away from the house. She didn't even care. There was no messages from her directly from her to us. at that point. It was all communication was through her mother.
Because we were like, talk to us about this, and she's like, no.
Mm-hmm. And she never did. And the part that I knew it was all over for our friendship was we both worked at Williams. Like, that was one of our side jobs. Like, I decided after one of my exams, I had one left. Two behind.
One enemy remaining.
Oh, DeadEyedDove. Okay. Oh, there. Main. Oh, way to keep us in the game. I went to visit her at her place of work. And because it wasn't busy at that time, I ordered a coffee from her and we're talking. And as we're talking, I'm talking to her about her mother and about everything that's going on. And in that moment, she looks at me and talks about how her mother's right. And about how everything her mother said is true and how she's truly been feeling and she just never had the courage to really talk about it. And she really hoped that we could still be friends even though we're all in the wrong. And that's when I knew we would never be friends again. And that's when I started to mourn our friendship. And it took me a long time to get over that friendship. Because, especially when you live with someone, you get to know someone. Oh, one mid.
Oh, I know.
Like, you get to know them.
Spike down A.
Good job, team. We knew that we would never be friends again, and that's also around the time where I discovered how bad the rumors had gotten. I feel like at that point the rumors were bad, but that's when I discovered how terrible they were. Oh, Chi-Chi. I hope everyone has a good day. And that pretty much ends our story. Did I miss anything?
No.
I feel like we covered it. She brought men home that were uncalled for. She used a dryer to heat herself under her blanket, even though she had a heater, because she was always cold. She spread rumors and lies about us being loose and about us being like wild partiers, even though she was having that exact same behavior and doing stuff with us. She was very two-faced. And then she took her mom out on us when it came to the finances of the place, when it came to anything that had to do with the house, or when she was mad that we didn't want to live with her again. Her mom came and told us we were ganging up on her. I think my favorite moment of the year, number one, was that I felt like we all got a lot closer because of the situation.
No, 100%.
But I got so much closer with my parents because of it. There was a time where her mom called my mom. It was around the time that I decided to switch doing the finances and I gave it to V instead. She called my mom and my mom was talking to her, trying to talk to her calmly. And her mom was going off on my mom a little bit, but my mom could kind of take it and handle it. She called my parents again, and my dad literally picked up the phone, spoke calmly with her for an hour and a half, brought out a Bible, and was reciting scripture verses at her to get her to calm down. For an hour and a half.
I believe that. Your dad has so much patience, like both your parents do.
The amount of patience that man has, I was so happy and so close with my parents because of everything that happened. At the end of our time together too, we were all cleaning up the house and she had kind of left and said she was gonna come back and maybe clean up was the key word, maybe. So my parents and my whole family came and descended upon the house to try to really clean it up because at this point our landlord was pissed at everyone because of the mom situation, because he was getting calls from the neighbors asking why there were cops outside our house, why this mother was all over us. Like, our landlord was kind of crazy, but the big thing about him is he just didn't like the fact that the cops were called. It looked bad on him, you know? It looked really bad on him. And my dad and him had a pretty good relationship. On the day that we were leaving and cleaning up, the landlord came by, talked to us, talked about expectations. My dad clarified with him what he needed from us in order to make sure that the house was ready for the next tenants. And so my family and I, we came in, we washed walls, we cleaned up all of the areas that we needed to, cleaned the kitchen. Like, it was a lot of work. It was a huge, like, undertaking, especially because we had a lot of furniture. And I was going back to a dorm style, so I felt like you were taking some of the furniture, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. My dad came with a U-Haul the day that we all moved out. Your parents and my dad came.
Yeah. Yeah, your dad was there.
Well, yeah, because her mom was in and out too. So my dad was like, if my dad lives like 4.5 hours away, mind you, but he's like, no, I'm going to be there to make sure that she doesn't wreck your stuff.
Exactly. So. And at the very, very end of it all, my dad, my mom, and I decided we weren't going to clean out her room. we decided collectively we're going to be petty. Kind of get some petty revenge after all of this. So we don't clean out her side. We clean out V's side, though, but not her side. And we took pictures of everything, documented everything. As we were leaving, we sent the pictures to the landlord. We said, have a nice life. We hope that this is comfortable. We hope to never hear from you. If you have any issues, email this person, and this person, which was her mom, her, and court offices that deal with rental tenants agreements.
Yeah.
Because another big thing was at the end, we would lose our security deposit if we didn't clean. So that was a big piece. We wanted that money back. We wanted to be there in good faith. My parents, being the petty people they are, we found out she never went back to clean for a while.
Yeah.
Did she even go back to clean? I know she didn't go back right away because the landlord called my dad to update him because my dad is petty and asked for updates. And we know that her mom tried to go to small claims like court, ask renter tenant court against this landlord because of it. I know that was attempted, but I don't know what resulted. Yeah, because he wasn't giving them the money back because they didn't clean and they just wanted the money back. It was a big thing. It was petty. Shout out to Ahmed. It didn't go very far. They had to come and clean and then they got their money back and we went on our way. We lived the rest of our years at university kind of in path with her, kind of not. Over the next couple of years, our story kind of got out a little bit, not too much so, because another thing is we didn't really care about popularity or the people that we were at school with, because we had our core group of friends, and that's all that mattered. You know what I mean?
100%. Yeah.
And exactly, and like Rooney came back from Saskatchewan halfway in the middle of our third year, so she was back in our lives, so we had a core, really good group of people that we got to be with, and I felt the strain, I felt the loss of that friendship for sure, but I realized how much I was putting into it when she never responded and she took her mom's side, which is fine because that was her life. That was her delusion. She thought she was in the right.
I think that was a big thing, like the initial breakdown of the friendship is that me and you were realizing that we put in a lot more than we were getting back, and it was very draining, and we tried to stick up for her too, despite her behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because it wasn't just other people we lived with that noticed things. Like, I know people came up to me around the university and was like, hey, like, what's with this? And like,
yeah,
I tried to stick up for her multiple times, and it was just getting very draining.
It was getting draining,
and the only thing I was getting, like, the only thing that me and you were getting back in return is very terrible rumors spread about us.
Exactly. And I think to this day, she still thinks that she's in the right in her feelings and what happened. But when it's one person against 6 people, when 6 people are all feeling that same strain.
Or against a whole school.
Exactly. I just feel like over the time, I feel like people realized.
Do you remember when it got around the school? Like, she was literally blacklisted from dating because of her mom. That's how batshit her mom was. Like, men would not go near her.
Which also explains the St. Patty's party when people put condoms all over her bike. Like, people knew. People knew, and no one wanted to date her because of the things that were being said about her mom. And that was the reality, though. Like, we were not being truthful. We had to call the cops on our mom because she was too aggressive with us, and we didn't appreciate that, and consequences have consequences. The final piece I'll say on it before we shut off this kind of chapter of our story with our horror roommate. At the end of it all, I feel like all of us as a unit were closer during our time there. I felt like we still had great times. We still went out. Between you, Rooney, and I, we got really close after that.
100%.
Because the thing is in second year and third year, it was like our core 4 with her. And when she was gone, I felt like with us as a trio got so much closer.
No, 100%. And we're still close to this day.
And I wouldn't have it any other way. But I just want to say a huge thank you for coming on the stream and for playing games with me, but also just like being willing to talk about this part of our history and unearth some old tea and drama. So I just want to thank you, DeadEyedDove, for coming. Everyone say a huge thank you. If you haven't already, please check out her socials. I'll link them in the description below. You can hit her with the follow and the like and subscribe. She posts a lot of Call of Duty Modern Warfare content, a lot of Overwatch. She's a very variety streamer, but if you're also a huge Disney nerd like she is, she'll definitely love having you over there. And I just want to thank you all for coming to the stream today, coming to the game, and hearing about this story about our crazy roommate. If you have any crazy roommate stories below, please let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear about them. And if you want any further updates, I'm sure we can unearth some old stories and think about some little moments, such as moments when she left our best friend at a party. Little things like that. Yeah. And she had her phone die and had to use someone else's phone to call a cab home. Lots of little stories like that where we can easily unearth some things. It's always great to have her, and I'm sure she has some crazy stories about when I was her roommate, about things I would do when I lived with her. But yeah, just hit that like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.